Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:05. Good afternoon. I am Pamala Furr, in for Matt Murphy, who is in for Brian Wilson, who will return on Monday. Glad to have you on board today. We've gotten halfway through the week together. We can do this, yes? Yes, of course. So there are a lot of things on the agenda today. From a local standpoint, we are going to talk about 4 Tennessee mayors, 4 of them, who have penned a letter to Governor Bill Lee calling for gun reform. We also have quite a few famous people because, we have a lot of famous people here in the Music City and surrounding areas. They also are pushing for action on gun violence in Tennessee. So they met with the governor yesterday and the Speaker of the House yesterday. No word on if they met with Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally or not, but at least those are the 2 I know that they have met with. This after a human chain was created yesterday afternoon of about 9,000 people. It took 9,000 people to create this human chain from Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital there at Vanderbilt all the way to the Capitol. And quite frankly, I've seen the pictures. That's quite a sight. And to me, that is more effective than loud, screaming, crazy protests every other day. This is people standing in solidarity with Covenant School, which anybody can get behind that. These are people that are standing with others saying, we do have to do something, which we all can agree with. I just don't know that something is going to be agreed upon when you've got 2 different sides of the aisle and a great big chasm right in the middle of it. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to have to address, I've been trying to avoid it, and I just don't think I can. And it's the questions over residency with House Speaker Cameron Sexton. There have been so many people who are bringing up this issue, and it's starting to make the national news as well. The fact that Sexton sold his major home, if you will, in Crossville, downsized to a condo, and ended up buying a home here in Nashville and spends a lot of his time here. People are questioning, is he skating the law or is he just right under the legalities of the law? And the reason why I want to bring it up is that I had a major issue with a particular candidate who was running for office for the 5th Congressional District who didn't live in the district until the district was changed. But that's why I had an issue. And so we're gonna have to talk about that today. So be listening for that. Probably around 12:35 is when we're going to touch on that. Also, the fact that there are some really good bills that have been introduced that are not going to get passed. And I'm just wondering why. Why? And this one has to do with rape kits in the state of Tennessee. All right. Meanwhile, a wrongful death lawsuit is being filed today. In fact, I think it's already been filed today in Memphis after the January death of a black man following a traffic stop. It should be noted, which it's being forgotten, yes, it was at the hands of law enforcement, but it was at the hands of black law enforcement. 29-year-old Tyree Nichols. You'll remember this story because it was horrific. He was pulled over by police for reckless driving, although there's been some speculation as to whether or not there were other reasons why he was actually pulled over. But I think that will end up coming out in the trial. Body camera footage from that traffic stop shows officers yelling at Nichols. And if you're going to remind everybody that Tyree Nichols is black, I'm going to remind everybody that the officers were also black. Fair is fair. Balanced is balanced. But the officers were yelling at him. They hit him several times. They held him down. They kicked him. They hit him after he attempted to run away. Then they caught him, and they did it again. Sprayed pepper spray, all the things. Horrible. We saw it. The videos were released. Well, he died, as you recall, days later in the hospital. His death sparked a Department of Justice review of the Memphis Police Department's use of force and de-escalation policies. Attorneys for the family say they are filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Memphis and its police department. All 5 officers involved have been charged with second-degree murder. They pleaded not guilty in their first court appearance back in February. The attorneys, by the way, also plan to sue Memphis police for, quote, intentional infliction of emotional distress for lying to his mother. Yee. That's Benjamin Crump talking about that in a statement today. Now, seeing the video and seeing the response from the Memphis Police Department to the video, seeing the response from the police chief there in Memphis, I have to wonder if they're just going to go ahead. Let's just settle this one out of court, please. Let's don't even take this one to trial. Don't you think? It will probably save a lot of embarrassment and, quite frankly, the city probably a lot of money in having to defend themselves against the officers and others. I mean, you had 5 officers that are charged, but you have more than that actually were suspended. You know, either I think one was allowed to retire, another was fired, even though they weren't charged. You also had sheriff deputies for the county of Shelby also suspended. You also had members of the fire department suspended for their actions and or lack of actions the night that Tyree Nichols more or less was beaten to death. So there's a lot going on there. And in this case, I am siding with the family because that was a brutal beating for what? Reckless driving? The actions did not in any way, shape, or form match the alleged crime they were pulling him over for. What I fear, though, I mean, you guys have to be prepared for this. This will continue to feed the narrative of Tennessee being racist because, as I recall, this story, when it hit national news, people kept forgetting these black police officers are the ones accused of murder. They don't want you to remember that. I mean, I hate to say that about my own profession, news, the news business. But that's what they were reminding you he was a young black man. A young black man who had a job at FedEx, seemed to be doing well, thriving in this world. They failed to tell you about the black police officers that committed the alleged murders. I'm only using that to just be legal. Obviously, we have on camera these officers beating that kid. 29 years old. 29. Unfortunately, all of this is going to feed into the narrative that Tennessee is a racist state. Unfortunately, when this trial finally begins, it's going to feed into the narrative that police inherently are racist, even though these guys were black. You know it's going to happen. And it bothers me so much. As I have said before on this radio station, I love the state of Tennessee. I love the spirit of the people here in Tennessee. Have we been perfect throughout history? Of course not. America has not been perfect throughout history. Our leaders have made bad choices and have made mistakes. But overall, we're great because of our mistakes and our successes. Not just, the state of Tennessee, even humanity. We are who we are because of our mistakes and because of our successes. We learn from those mistakes. Right? The spirit of Tennessee is someone is in need, we help them. The spirit of Tennessee is not to fight each other, but to work with one another to solve the problems that we have. Black or white. Black or white. And yet again, here's something else that's just going to feed that beast that Tennessee is racist. Tennessee is racist. What a racist state. Southern racist. That's all they are. They wish those Jim Crow laws would come back into play. Oh, they long for the Confederate South, which is just not true. I'm proud to be a Southerner. I'm proud to be a volunteer. There's also part of me that's a Tar Heel, and I mean that in the sense of I'm from North Carolina. I am proud of my heritage. A lot of good things happened in the history of Tennessee. And honestly, there were 9,000 people. I'm going to go back to this human chain yesterday. 9,000 people from Monroe Carroll Jr. Hospital all the way to the Capitol, peacefully standing there in red so others can see we stand with Covenant School. I love that. It was peaceful. Nobody screaming, I'm a racist. Black and white and other skin colors, I'm sure, standing together. That's the spirit of Tennessee. It is 12:18. So that happened today in Memphis. When we come back, let's talk about the bill to have rape kits tested within 30 days. That was legislation that came out of Memphis. It came out of a Memphis lawmaker only because of that horrific situation that happened where a jogger in Memphis was attacked. Remember that? Attacked, raped, killed, and come to find out the guy they have in custody may have raped someone else, and they had the rape kit. Had they tested it, they would have known it. He would have been behind bars and wouldn't have been able to commit this crime. Remember that? I'll tell you more about it, give you more specific details when we come back. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:22. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy, who will be in at 3 o'clock for The Drive with Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson off this week. He'll be back on Monday. Glad to have you here with us today. 737-9986 is our phone number. You can hit the super text line if you'd like, if you have a comment. Now, I know that people think that we are an echo chamber for the Republican Party. That's BS. We are not. If I do say so myself, because I'm about to blast the Republican supermajority here in the state of Tennessee. It makes, and maybe it's, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman. I don't know if it's because I have a brain. I don't know. But this bill is dead again this year, and it makes no sense at all. A bill pushed by a Memphis lawmaker, and I'm going to point this out, a Democrat lawmaker, right? His name is Antonio Parkinson. He's on the House side. I want to say it was London Lamar on the Senate side that was also sponsoring this bill. The law or the bill that would require rape kits to be tested within 30 days did not receive funding in the governor's proposed state budget. That means House Bill 104 is dead, according to House Democrats. It's dead. The bill had previously been recommended for passage by the House Finance Ways and Means Subcommittee. They were only asking for $5 million. $5 million to help expedite testing of rape kits so that they could ID a victim's rapist so that they could then maybe arrest a victim's rapist, or it would help in the trial to try and argue unreasonable doubt or reasonable, unanimous votes for guilt. Representative Parkinson is quoted as saying, honestly, what it looks like to me is that, again, there is no will to make this a priority, to make funding rape kits a priority in the Tennessee legislature. That's it. Plain and simple. I don't understand. This one to me is a no-brainer. You do have an overworked crime lab, right? And I do believe they even now send off these kits to be tested in other places because there's such a backlog. It currently takes months in many cases for the TBI to test rape kit evidence. The delay has been reported for years, and the problem did come to light in that situation I told you about right before the break. Memphis jogger Eliza Fletcher. She was murdered. She was attacked just minding her own business early one morning. Fletcher's alleged killer, Cleotha Abston, had also been linked to an earlier rape case, but the evidence in that case sat untested. Parkinson says if the rape kit had been tested in a timely manner, it's possible that Henderson would have been incarcerated and unable to abduct and murder Fletcher. I think they got the name wrong in this story. I think it's Cleotha Abston, but at any rate, I am completely disappointed in this lack of action on the part of the Tennessee legislature. This is coming again from Parkinson. This is an exact repeat of what took place in 2014. In our inaction in 2014, it played a role in the death of Eliza Fletcher. This is a slap in the face to all victims of rape in our state. We put $250 million into a rainy day fund that puts us over $2 billion, but we wouldn't fund $5 million to test rape kits in 30 days. We can do better. And I agree. $5 million is nothing in the state budget. Now, there are those that say the $5 million really wouldn't have done anything. How do you know until you try? It would certainly help, would it not? Could it not help with the backlog? Could it not help to then pay other agencies outside of Tennessee or other labs, etc.? And meanwhile, you have numerous rape kits sitting there untested and victims not knowing who their attacker was, not being able to prosecute, not sleeping at night because their attacker is still out there somewhere. We talk about victims, right? As Republicans, we're supposed to be helping victims, are we not? This was an easy way to do that. Parkinson says he'll just try again. He's not going to stop. He says, until we pass the budget, I will use every single second, every opportunity that I have, every procedure that I have at my hands to be able to make this thing work and try to fix it. Thank you, Mr. Parkinson. And that's right. I'm saying that to a Democrat. I'm saying that to someone in Memphis. I'm saying that to someone who is passionate about this issue, who's living in an area where prosecutors don't want to prosecute petty crime, thuggish crime. Here's an opportunity that we can say, okay, Memphis, we're on your side on this one, and we're doing nothing. Over $5 million? Even if it expedites it within 2 months, it's better. What some of these rape kits have been sitting there for a year. Even if it expedites it 3 months, it's better than what we have right now. I know the legislation says 30 days. Can we switch it to 60 days? Would that help? Very disappointed. I'm telling you, and I'm just disappointed in our legislature this year. I'm disappointed in our leadership in some cases. It's just been a weird year. And it's only April. It's 12:30. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:34. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy, who will be in later on this afternoon. Had an opportunity. Did you see this, Val, yesterday with Matt? He brought in his friend, Taylor Hicks, who seemed like a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, they were definitely having a little boys club going on in there.
Were they?
Yeah.
Was it some bro love?
Yeah.
What is a bromance?
Something like that.
Well, I had forgotten how much I love his music. Okay, I have to be honest, I forgot about him altogether. Because it's been, 15, 20 years since he was on American Idol and actually won.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I think so.
2003?
It's been at least 15 years. You look it up. It's been at least 15 years. And I think that's about the last time I watched. I think the year that he won is the last year I watched.
2006.
See? That's close. I was close. And I had forgotten, that boy can sing. Holy smokes. So if you missed it, I'm sure that Matt has a podcast up somewhere about that. But I've got one of his songs ringing in my head. I've got an earworm because yesterday I had the opportunity to go down to the borough, to Rutherford County, and speak to the Rutherford County Republican women. And that was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you some of the things that they're concerned about, the same things that you and I are concerned about when it comes to the leadership in this state, when it comes to this misinformation of calling us racist and all of that. But I was listening to Taylor Hicks' music as I was driving up and down Highway 24, Interstate 24. And so I've got all these. I put Taylor Hicks on a loop and just I was reintroduced to his music, and it was great. So if you get a chance, check it out. I think he has a new single, The Whole Nine Yards. So Fox News has settled Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit. For what, $700 million? I think $787 million to be exact. And I knew yesterday, I guess during this show yesterday, the news had broken that the trial was delayed for an unexplained reason. Well, I guess it's because Fox said, settle. Let's do it. Let's settle. Now, I don't believe in the settlement. They are admitting any kind of guilt to defamation, but the parties are resolved in their case. News of the settlement also was strategically made right before Wall Street ceased trading for the day. So that's interesting. Now, the company, Dominion, that is, the CEO says Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion.
They did put out a press release that said they allowed certain guests to make unsubstantiated claims.
So, that being said, who's going? Who's going to get the axe? Because I don't believe there is anybody that can survive this. Any of the hosts that will be able to survive this.
Brian Stelter? Oh, he's not on there.
I was going to say, is he on the air? I thought he was just
not. No, he's on some AM radio station in Canada now.
I shouldn't laugh. That might be my next fate. There, but for the grace of God go I, they say. But that's my question, because this is a lot of money. This isn't settling a sexual harassment lawsuit, which Fox News has done several times over the years. This is substantial money. And by the way, it's not over. There is another organization that is going after them as well, and they're actually going after them for $2 billion. We are pleased to have reached a settlement, a Fox spokesperson said. We acknowledge the court's rulings, finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. I have to wonder. Now, I'm trying to think of who all is on. You've got Fox and Friends with Brian Kilmeade, Steve Ducey, and isn't it Amelia? Wait, what is her name? She's a blonde. They're all blonde. Ainsley Earhart. Ainsley Earhart. I'm doing all this from my head. Ainsley Earhart. So you've got Fox and Friends during the week, in the mornings, those three. After that, it's kind of fuzzy. You've got the 5 later in the afternoon. I don't think it'll be any of them. I have to be honest with you. You know who I think will get the axe without them actually saying he's getting the axe? I think it's Sean Hannity. I think Sean Hannity will be the one. I think Sean Hannity will announce in the next couple of months that he's retiring from the TV show. That doing a TV show and radio together is just too much on his time, and he wants to take some time to, I don't know, spend it with his girlfriend, Ainsley Earhart. Which, by the way, that's public knowledge now. I don't think I'm telling you anything that's not out there.
Every time I hear her name, I immediately in my head
think of the pilot.
Ernest Angley, the televangelist.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Now I think of the female pilot that was lost in the Bermuda Triangle. That's who I think of every time I say her name.
Amelia Earhart?
Yes.
No, she went down in the Pacific.
Was that what it was?
Yes.
I thought it was Bermuda Triangle. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. I think of Ainsley with, in a plane, a prop plane, and yeah, that's what I think of. Honestly, someone's head is going to have to roll. Someone's going to have to be the face of this. And if I'm not mistaken in some of the deposition, who seemed to be the one who was in touch with Donald Trump quite a bit during that time? Because, this was all over so-called voter fraud. This was all over Dominion voting machines, actually changing the number of votes, doubling the votes for Joe Biden. For every 1 vote for Trump, it was 2 votes for Joe Biden. All those accusations that are out there. Someone's not going to be able to survive this. That's what I think. And there's, again, more legal battles ahead. Now, I'm a Fox News fan. I love Tucker Carlson. I've watched Tucker Carlson before he was even on Fox News. You remember the bow tie days?
I was going to say back when he wore bow ties.
Yes, bow tie days. Loved him. I do like the 5. I like Dana Perino. I like all of these personalities. I love Greg, what's his face?
Gutfeld.
Love him. I liked him more in the middle of the night. That I thought he was funnier and could be a little bit more creative. But that's just me personally. I don't watch Fox and Friends in the mornings except for the weekends. I like, for whatever reason, it's just my personal taste. It's no other reason but that. But I like Fox and Friends weekend. So I watch those guys on the weekends. You have your favorites. When I watch news shows, I watch Newsmax. I watch News Nation. CNN's on right now. And this is what we're talking about right now. They're doing the same thing. Who's going to go? Who's going to say anything on the air? Who's going to say, I was wrong? Probably nobody. Who is going to apologize? Probably nobody. I would hope that it puts to bed some of the conspiracy theories that are out there. I think we mentioned this yesterday. There's some people that believe those Dominion voting machines, the ones that were miscalculating the votes, were in a building down on 2nd Avenue here in Nashville that was bombed that fateful Christmas morning. Will it be Laura Ingraham? I don't know what her ratings have been. Hannity's ratings are very, very good. Maybe it'll be Laura Ingraham. Your time has come. It's, say goodbye. I don't know. I don't see many people using Rudy Giuliani as an expert anymore after all of that. I think his career is pretty much in the tanker. there's probably been some sort of mandate that says no more Rudy. Rudy's got to go. It's an interesting case. If you get an opportunity, read it. It's out there. Again, whether you're a fan of Fox News, which I am, or you're not a fan, it's an interesting case nonetheless. I'm always fascinated by defamation cases. I'm always fascinated with cases that involve the First Amendment. For instance, I'm going to segue into this. Today, the Supreme Court takes up another closely watched free speech case. Legal experts say it could have a significant impact on what you're allowed to say online. Indeed. In fact, I tell you what, let's play just a tad bit of this report from ABC's Andrea Fujii. She reports that it concerns whether postings are protected by the First Amendment. Here is Fujii. Well, my computer needs to be up. Let's try this again, Val. All right, start from the beginning and go.
Billy Counterman was convicted of stalking after sending Colorado musician Coles Whalen hundreds of threatening messages on social media, including, "You're not being good for human relations. Die. Don't need you." The Supreme Court could decide if those messages are a crime or protected speech.
Isn't that interesting? So Counterman's lawyers say he has mental health issues and thought he was just having a conversation with the guy. So there was really no real threat, but what constitutes a real threat versus protected speech is now up to the court to decide. Now, see, I find this fascinating because there's so much online or even in direct messages that can be perceived as threatening. And look, harassing and stalking doesn't mean that you absolutely are harassing, but you're making that person feel threatened. You may not have given a direct threat, but if they felt threatened, you could be charged. I find that interesting. Sometimes I have a very biting, cutting tone. Redheads do. It's just a natural thing. Ginger says what? I knew you were going to say it. Uh-huh. I felt it coming, Bill. And
Ginger says what? Say it. Say it.
What? So I'm a firm believer that we as Americans have a certain unalienable right to free speech. And that includes telling someone off. Whether it's right or wrong, I believe you have a First Amendment right to do so. And I had a situation in my life where I felt like one of my dear friends sleeping with, my guy, gave me that First Amendment right to tell them both off when they engaged in that behavior that really, really ticked me off. I never used the words die. I never sent text messages that said die, but they both felt threatened by Pamela, who was telling them off, which is insane. At some point, though, there has to be boundaries. So I guess the Supreme Court is going to decide that today. I mean, with my phone calls, we were talking 4 phone calls. This guy and others who are perceived as a threat, you're talking 100, 150, 200 in the span of 7 hours, 6 hours, something like that. Or hundreds and hundreds of text messages, or hundreds and hundreds of personal private messages through social media. At some point, it gets to the point where it's harassing. And you can block and block and they pop up again. And you block and block and they pop up again. At some point, you are disturbing a person's everyday life. And that you can't do. A person, right, has the right to live peacefully, right, without worrying about you. So this one is interesting to me. The freedom of expression, I guess, is what they're debating at the Supreme Court. The freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, it all goes to the freedom of expression, doesn't it? We'll talk more about this and continue after this break. It is 12:50. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:57. I am Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today. All right. I'm trying to decide, do you want your blood boiled right now? Or do you want to wait and let it boil after our news at 1 o'clock? What should I?
After the news.
After the news? All right. After the news, you just wait until I tell you what's going to happen on Monday. Is that a good enough tease? Yeah. After the news, you just wait until I tell you what's going to happen on Monday. And it involves Tennessee. How's that? Is that a bit? It involves Tennessee. And some.
We're talking about Tennessee, the sports team? One of the sports teams?
Tennessee lawmakers.
Oh, okay.
Tennessee lawmakers who may not be very popular with us right now. All right, that's it. That's all I'm going to tell you until after 1 o'clock today. All right? At 1:05, be listening because I think it's going to make your blood boil as if you needed more things to make your blood boil and your head explode here in the last couple of weeks. We have certainly been through it this last couple of weeks. I'm ready for football. I'm ready for something else in my life rather than these kinds of BS stories that I'm going to tell you at 1:05 this afternoon right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can super text us your reaction or even call with your reaction after 1:05 at 615-737-9986. We're up on Super Talk TV. Hello, hello. We are on socials. You can find me there, Pamela, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the gram, and I'm not sure where else I am. And then, of course, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. An investigation into comments caught on tape allegedly discussing hiring hitmen and lynching has put the spotlight on a small county in southeastern Oklahoma.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has been calling for McCurtain County officials, including the sheriff heard on the recording, to step down. Stitt's office says it has now received a handwritten resignation letter from McCurtain County Commissioner Mark Jennings, a letter saying he was resigning immediately. The comments were recorded by a reporter at the McCurtain Gazette-News. The sheriff's office, while not addressing what the sheriff and a captain allegedly discussed, is instead saying the recordings have not been validated and posted online that the recording was made illegally and is threatening felony charges against those who recorded it. Alex Stone, ABC News.
In Memphis, a $500 million wrongful death lawsuit filed today in the January beating death of Tyree Nichols after a traffic stop. The family, along with attorneys, including civil rights advocate Benjamin Crump, blaming the city, police department, and officers charged. Nichols' mother, Rovon Wells, calling for change.
Those 5 police officers murdered my son. They beat him to death. And they need to be held accountable.
The 5 officers charged with his murder have pleaded not guilty. Fox News settling with Dominion Voting Systems yesterday for $780 million in the defamation case. But Dominion accused Fox of knowingly broadcasting false claims that its voting machines were rigged during the 2020 election. ABC's Aaron Katersky says more legal cases are pending.
Dominion has 6 more lawsuits pending against former President Trump's allies over their roles in pushing the false claims. Fox is facing a lawsuit from a different voting machine company. Smartmatic is seeking nearly $3 billion in damages.
The Supreme Court expected to issue a decision today whether it will take up challenges to the FDA-approved abortion drug mifepristone. You're listening to ABC News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good afternoon. I am Pamala Furr. In for Matt Murphy, who will be in for Brian Wilson later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Be listening for that. Brian Wilson will be back on Monday. Have no fear. All right, you ready? I teased this. I think this is something you need to know. Have you taken your Xanax? Did you take a shot of that whiskey that you sneak into work, having that bottom drawer? Are you ready?
I told you to stop asking me these questions on the air.
All right, this is Corinne Jean Pierre. Now, I know she says her name is Jean, but every time I see it, I say Jean. So Corinne Jean Pierre was at the White House today during her daily press briefing and announced this.
The president looks forward to welcoming Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson to the White House this coming Monday.
My blood is now boiling. I don't know if my face is red on the Super Talk TV camera.
It's hard to tell compared to the hair.
I knew it was coming. Every time. They are welcoming the two Justins and a Johnson to the White House on Monday. Not that we're still in session or anything. No. Now, of course, I know it's possible that you could fly up there and fly right back before session begins on Monday. But still, you'd think that they would be actually putting together bills to introduce that has something to do with their causes. But no. They're on this tour, this hero tour. And Monday is their time to spend with the president at the White House.
He was appreciative of their efforts and what they were trying to do in the State House and how important it is to have that type of visibility, to have those type of voices out there, to continue to call on an issue that he's been talking about, not just for the past several months, but for years, which is to ban assault weapons.
All right, so let me do some research here. Tennessee State House. All right, and I looked at this earlier this morning just to be on the safe side, and I am looking up, and you can do it too. It is so easy. You just go to capital.tn.gov, and then you click on House, right? And then you can click on the names of the legislators. And the one that is coming to mind right off the bat is Representative Justin Jones, because he does represent a part of Davidson County, District 52. He is a Democrat. No kidding, Pamela. Yeah, so I want to make sure the facts are out there. I don't want to be accused of covering up the facts. So as you look at his resume, if you will, he is a policy and activism fellow with the John Lewis Center for School Justice at Fisk University. He has a BA in political science from Fisk University, and he is currently completing his Master of Theological Studies at Vanderbilt University. When I click on Bills Sponsored, now I told you this weeks ago on various time slots I've been on here on WTN, he had not filed one bill that had anything to do with guns this entire legislative session. But Pamela, he's a baby House member. You shouldn't expect him to file anything. Bull. You came there to make change. You say you want change. You have to be the change. That's what they tell us, right? If you want to make change, you be the change. If you want your voice heard, you be the one talking. If you want gun control or gun reform or common sense gun laws, then you be the one to introduce it. Not one until I said on the air, on this radio station for the first time, he hadn't filed anything. He's full of crap. Other hosts follow suit. He hadn't filed anything. He's full of crap. So 6 days ago, he filed his first bill, HB 1580, as introduced, creates an offense for a person to possess or manufacture an ammunition feeding device that has capacity to accept more than 10 rounds, except for certain circumstances, requires, subject to certain exemptions, that a sale or transfer of a firearm be done through a federally licensed gun dealer. It creates a Class B misdemeanor for sales or transfers that are not conducted through a gun dealer, allows a court to issue an extreme risk protection order upon a finding that a person possesses a risk of causing bodily injury to the person or others. If allowed to purchase or possess a firearm, makes other changes related to firearms. April the 13th. April the 13th when this was filed. What, approximately 2 weeks after the Covenant shooting? Now, it's been delayed, right, in a Bills committee because it was just introduced. Gloria Johnson, on the other hand, who's a part of this T3 group, hadn't filed anything either this year that would be any way reflective of the changes they're calling for in the General Assembly. And yet they are presenting themselves as the voice of the unheard. They are presenting themselves as the voice of the reasoned. They are presenting themselves as the voice of those who can't speak anymore, i.e. those at Covenant School. And it's all BS. When you're a legislator, you have a responsibility to represent your constituents, right? Hello, it's really simple. If your constituents are calling for gun reform, then you go to the Capitol and you introduce legislation that will do such. And they haven't. They're full of crap. But they want the world to believe that they're trying to get things like this done in a state that is very racist, who won't listen to them. And they haven't even tried. Now, I will give him kudos. At least he tried 6 days ago. But only after we called him a hypocrite. Only after we said, yeah, we're calling BS on that one. Almost slipped up. It's easy to do when your blood is boiling. So they're going to go to D.C. and they're going to post on their socials. They're going to raise their public profile yet again, and they're going to be talked to as heroes, and the president, who will have to be reminded who they are several times, probably has an ear monitor. This is Justin Jones. Hello, Justin Jones. Welcome to the White House. Gloria Johnson. Hello, Gloria Johnson. Thank you for being here. Justin Peterson. Justin Peterson. What? Peterson. No. Justin Pearson. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You know, he's not going to know. Somebody's going to have to tell him. But they're going to use that. You know, you've got special elections coming up now for Jones and Pearson. They're going to use that. Oh, yeah. That is, if anybody runs against them, they'll use that in campaign ads or memes on socials. They'll get more likes and followers. They'll be in front of the cameras. That's all they want. Be the change. You want change? When do you want it? Now? Then isn't that your responsibility? Someone yesterday called at the end of the show yesterday who had a brilliant suggestion, brilliant, I tell you, who said that if Justin Jones is such a hero, and if Justin Jones is the voice of the people in his district who are not getting heard, why not convince the people in his district to give up their guns? Give them up. Participate in the buyback program and let the state of Tennessee or law enforcement buy back those guns in District 52 here in Nashville and do a real-world, real-time case study on the effects of no guns, no so-called assault-style weapons in District 52 and see what that looks like. Why don't be the test crash dummies and then report back to see how that went for District 52? I think that's brilliant. I think it's a great idea. Let's do the same for Pearson's district over in Memphis. Why not? Gloria Johnson, you're over there in Knoxville. Why not in your district, your part of Knoxville? You say that the people there want gun reform, and tell them to give up their guns. Be an example. Be the change. I'm repeating it because they do, and every time I do, I can't help but laugh. They're not even having conversations with the other side. Now, I've said this several times. I'm going to say it again. Yes, we are a supermajority, but we do need to listen to what these districts are saying. Entertain some of the ideas that they have. And if they're bad ideas, then you do the right thing and you just kill it. It fails. I guarantee you, if you were able to demonstrate that if District 52 in the Nashville area, if they all give up their guns and suddenly there's peace in the streets, I guarantee you people will take notice. I guarantee you lawmakers will have to go, didn't see that one. I guarantee you law enforcement will say, that's interesting. We don't go on many calls in District 52 anymore. How come, I wonder? Because they gave up their guns. And now there's peace and rainbows and sunshine. You and I know that will never happen. But if he thinks there needs to be change and the District 52 is calling for that change, then be the change, for crying out loud. 615-737-9986 is the phone number, 615-737-9986. You can also super text us if you would like to do so. We are taking those super texts. I can't imagine the people that are throwing money at them as well, to their campaigns. I'm talking about the T3. I can't imagine at all how their profile is going to make them more money. I mean, that's going to happen. All right, Belle, you're back. All right, we will take a break. I am Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is the Matt Murphy Show, 122. Glad you're here with us, Matt Murphy, and at 3 for Brian Wilson, who will be in on Monday. He'll be back on Monday. 615-737-9986 as we again reel from the information that indeed the Tennessee Three, as some have called them, I call them the two Justins and a Johnson are going to the White House on Monday. They're going to the White House to speak to the president because the president is so proud of what they've done. The voice for those who are never heard. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Mike in South Pittsburgh. Hey, Mike, how are you? Mike, are you on the line? Mike, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can now. Yes, sir.
Yep. What's so new about thuggery visiting the White House at this day and age? It's like birds of a feather flock together, correct?
I'm not. So, who are you calling a thug besides those three? I don't understand.
Well, yeah, I thought it was the thuggery tactics there that went on in the House there in Tennessee. So for them to visit the White House. What's so new about thuggery visiting the White House?
Okay, gotcha. Now I understand. Thank you very much for your phone call. I appreciate that, Mike. Look, I mean, I think it's a waste. First of all, they are Democrats, right? Now, how green is it to fly to D.C. and then fly right back to be, the roll call, check in as present during the House session on Monday? How green is that? Does that follow the green plan or no?
They got to get those gun bills filed.
Oh yes, we must rush back to get all these gun bills that we need to file before the session ends. I mean, come on, guys. Now I've received a super texter who said, "Do you know?" One of those Tennessee Three held their hand up for 45 minutes to speak on a bill, and the Speaker of the House never called on them. Can I be honest with you? I watched, this was not yesterday, I guess the day before. I watched, because that was Monday, probably 2.5, 3 hours of a House session where they were going, it was kind of rapid fire, if you will. I watched every time a bill came up, no matter how minute, even if it was just kind of changing a little bit of language. Justin Pearson wanted to be recognized to speak. And he would speak and it would be nothing about the bill, or it would be ridiculous questions about the bill, or it would be bloviating about something religious. Why are we dealing with this when we really should be talking about gun reform and helping our kids be safe and helping the poor? And I can't do the preacher voice that they do. Or Justin Jones wanted to be recognized on every single bill during those 3 hours, almost 3 hours. Every time he called on him, he went down another road, and the speaker would have to remind him, Representative Jones, you're off topic, you're off track. If you continue, we will have to cut you off. He would warn him numerous times. So tell me, why should I care that he didn't call on him after they wanted to be recognized for 45 minutes? If every time you call on them, they're going to derail the proceedings, derail what's happening, and the business of the House takes longer and longer and longer to get done. They're not doing themselves any favors. They're certainly not building equity among their colleagues there in the House, Democrat or Republican, when they go down that road. 73. So I don't care. Raise your hand. 737-9986 is the phone number. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, Pamela, a longtime listener, first-time caller. I was interested in the comment about the Nashville Three encouraging their constituents to turn in their guns, but double check me on this. I think this Saturday is the DEA is having a gun buyback program
There you
all
go.
across the nation.
There you go.
Hey, maybe they should encourage their folks to make a little cash too.
Yep, to participate in the gun buyback program so that you can be the change that you call for. Absolutely.
There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
I like it, Dave. I appreciate your
Thanks,
phone
Pam.
call. Yep. Have a good day. Let's go to Derek in Ashland City. Hey, Derek.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say this guy, I'm a Christian, a Baptist pastor, and this guy keeps claiming to be Christian, and I want to warn a lot of, because I'm as conservative as most of your listeners are, but something that they're missing here, and if you ever go read Vodi Baucham's Fault Lines, you will see that their definition of justice, and we had a lot of Baptists, Southern Baptist even, pastors that jumped on that social justice bandwagon, critical theory and all of that. Now they're trying to get off of it. And this is where people really need to be educated on it, the dangers of this justice, this definition of justice he has, that, you know, that they're being oppressed.
I think it is dangerous, Derek. I do think it's dangerous, and all in the name of God.
Yes, and first of all, he is not Christian at all. Their message is satanic, and the church needs to understand the difference.
I don't know about satanic. I don't know that I can go with you there, but I can certainly say that certainly doesn't.
Well, think about this.
Let
Jesus
me
said, if you're not with me.
hold on. Let me do this. Let me finish my sentence first. Thank you.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I know you're passionate about it, but look, I wouldn't say satanic. I would certainly say it doesn't fall in line with the God that I know and the God that I serve, right? Not. I mean, they want to say, well, Jesus, turned over the change tables there in the temple. Completely different story, completely different circumstances. So you can't compare the two. But I don't know that I would go as far as saying satanic. Go ahead, Derek. I'll let you have the last word.
The Apostle Paul did say anyone that preaches any other gospel, right? And that what they're doing is that it's the doctrine of demons. So it is, if it's contrary, anything that's contrary to Scripture is of Satan.
All right. Thank you very much, Derek. I appreciate
Yes,
your telephone call. It is 1:30. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. We've got one line or two open for you. And then, of course, the super text line is also open always. More of your calls and more of this. The three are headed to the White House on Monday. Your thoughts on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 1:35. I am Pamela Furr. Glad to have you on board today. It is Wednesday. It's gorgeous. It's 82 degrees outside. It's sunny. Thank you, Jesus. I do believe we've got some rain that's supposed to be rolling in because you know why? We're headed towards the weekend. Of course it's going to rain. I will continue on this line here of discussion, but someone just made a suggestion that I think is pretty great. Point of order. This is from a super texter. Point of order, Ms. Pamela, if I can make a comment, that if the T3, I guess we're now calling them T3, if they're going to have all their districts they represent relinquish and sell off their guns, which was a suggestion from a caller yesterday, which I think is brilliant. You want to be the change, or you want to see change, you got to be the change. If you think we should get rid of all of our weapons, we should get rid of all of our, quote, assault-style weapons, then maybe encourage the people of your district to do so. Let's just forget state law. Just volunteer. Give them up. There's a buyback program, I think, this weekend that's happening, another caller said. So get rid of them. So this caller says, or this texter says, are they going to put a sign up in their district that says gun-free zone? Good question. Because signs that say gun-free zone keep out the guns, don't they? They keep out the criminals, don't they? They work. So why wouldn't they have one? That's a very good question. Very good. From Joe. Joe made that comment. 737-9986 is the phone number. We got Sean in Lebanon. Hey, Sean.
Hello, Pam. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing better than I deserve.
What's up?
Hey, I just had a suggestion to let's not recognize them that they're going. Let's just say there are 3 people that are absent today in the house, you know? Don't give them no recognition.
I know, but I have to report the news. I have to report it. I don't have a choice. It's news.
Yeah, that's fine. You can give the news. However, you don't have to recognize that it's them. We get the hint. We get the hint.
You get the idea? Are you sick of hearing about them?
Yes. And that's what they want. They love this.
No,
they're enjoying this.
Yeah, no, that is very, very true. And meanwhile, you know what our focus isn't on? Thank you for your call. You know what our focus isn't on? The 6 people who were killed 3 weeks ago. A little over 3 weeks ago. You know what our focus isn't on? Those children that are now back in school, not at Covenant in another building, but those kids that are back at school that are still, I'm sure, traumatized. You know what our focus isn't on? The true heroes. May I ask a question? Were those Metro Nashville police officers invited to the White House to say thank you for what you did that day? Were they invited to the White House? Now, I can't say yay or no. I'm asking the question. I do know that Vice President Kamala Harris visited our city, our fine city, and didn't meet with those officers. And from my understanding, didn't meet with the victims of that shooting. But certainly met with the T3. And gave an impassioned speech to those gathered. That is what we're not focusing on. You know what else we're not focusing on? The manifesto, which has still not been released. Not even a summary of what's in it has been released. Why? Why aren't we demanding it? You know what? Justin Jones, if you want to represent the cry of the people, represent that. When you have an opportunity to stand in front of these TV cameras and use your bullhorn, why aren't you out there saying, where's the manifesto? We need to know more about this deranged transgender who had more than enough weapons to do serious damage. A lot more damage to our community than what she did. Why? We need to know why. Where is the manifesto? But we're not focused on that. All eyes now are on these three who say a lot of words that mean nothing, who say a lot of things real loud and mean nothing. (615-737-9986) is the phone number. Let's go to Jim, who is in Clarksville. Hey, Jim.
Oh, Pamela, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
This is perfect corn planting weather, and that's what I'm doing.
Excellent. All right, what's up?
I got a scenario. Play along with me, but I've written a book. Would you like to read it?
Well, I don't know. What's it about?
Well, that's where I'm going with. And so my point is the only way that I can compel you to read my book is if I do one of two things, either something extraordinarily good or extraordinarily bad. Extraordinarily good takes hard work, dedication, some luck, that kind of stuff. But extraordinarily bad is fairly easy. You hurt people, you do something extraordinarily bad, and now everybody knows your name, everybody wants to know everything about you. And is that not exactly what the Bullhorn 3-0 just did? Nobody cared who they were until they made a mockery of themselves, and so all of a sudden they got exactly what they wanted. They got all the notoriety, and people are paying attention to them.
Oh, no.
The covenant
No, Jim, they haven't gotten all the notoriety that they want.
Yes.
They want a lot more.
Isn't that what the covenant shooter did too? Nobody cared that person existed other than a very small amount of people in their normal circles. They go do something extraordinarily bad. Now everybody's talking about it, and that is the problem.
I don't know that was her motivation. I think she was deranged. I think that there was mental health problems there. I don't think that she wanted to be famous. That's why she did it. Now, I could be dead wrong. Who knows? We haven't seen the manifesto. We haven't seen it. We don't know what it says. I don't, just based on things that have been reported, I don't know that notoriety was her end game. I honestly think death was her end game. That was her end game. She didn't want to be on this planet anymore. And when you're down that rabbit hole, you can't, as a sane individual, there's nothing that I can tell you that's going to make sense to you, because that's where we are saying she was not. So I think the motivation was this is how I die by cop. And I'm angry at the world, and I'm going to take as many people as I can. And my anger began at Covenant. Remember, she went to Covenant. So I'm blaming Covenant for everything that has gone wrong in my life. So that's where I'm going to make sure my life ends. I say that not knowing a dang thing that's in that manifesto. Maybe in the or journals or whatever you want to call it. Maybe in there. Maybe she says, I want my face to be on the evening news. Maybe she says, I want people to study me for years and years to come. Maybe she does. Notice, I think all the hosts have made this decision. None of us are calling her by name anymore. I think we've kind of made that conscious decision without a memo. So we're not giving her notoriety. I guess calling those lawmakers T3 at least takes their names away. But they are lawmakers. We do have to talk about them. They do things that could potentially make a difference here in Tennessee, maybe. But I mean, if you believe a certain way, now here's two different sides, and I know we have some phone calls. I'll get to you guys in just a moment. You have two different ways of coming at a problem. You can scream your way, which is what these three wanted to do and did, or you can say, we need to talk. Nashville-based artists like Sheryl Crow and Amy Grant led a delegation yesterday lobbying Bill Lee and other state lawmakers to do something serious, enact serious reforms following the deadly Covenant school shooting. Now, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, at least they came to the table and said, will you please at least listen to what we have to say? Most therapists, counselors, coaches will tell you that you will have more of an effect of meeting some way halfway if you're not screaming at them. Crow and Grant are part of a newly formed coalition, Voices for a Safer Tennessee, that is calling for an extreme risk protection law to take firearms out of the hands of mentally unstable individuals, which is legislation that the governor actually was calling for, which is legislation that I know Heidi Campbell, who, by the way, is running for mayor of Nashville, but she is a state senator, along with, I think it's Bob Freeman. They've introduced an extreme risk protective order legislation. Others are doing the same thing. This new coalition, Voices for a Safer Tennessee, are also pushing for laws requiring the safe storage of firearms. Can I just say this? And I am all for the Second Amendment, trust me. But I just, I want to take a bullhorn and scream at the people who own weapons legally and leave them in their unlocked car. Do you know Metro Nashville and other police organizations are constantly saying, please lock up your weapons, either take them out of the car or securely keep them in your vehicle. Lock it up, put it away, have it in a gun, a little portable kind of gun safe, but don't leave them in your unlocked car. More thefts of weapons in unlocked cars than you can even imagine. And I get the press releases every week. 77 cars were left unlocked, and they were either stolen or weapons stolen from those cars. Every week. So I'm all about the Second Amendment. But good grief, you've got to be better, right? Here I am pointing my finger like your mother. You be better. But don't we? Be responsible. We're Nashvillians. We're also moms. This is Sheryl Crow. And in your case, a grandmother. That's Amy Grant. House Democratic Caucus.
Amy probably wanted to cuss her after she said that.
I didn't see the evil eye.
You didn't need to bring that up.
I didn't see the evil eye. And it looks like, I don't know if that's Carly Pierce. It looks like Carly Pierce in this photo. But at least they said, will you at least hear us? Will you hear what we have to say? In a peaceful way. I'm still looking at this order, this extreme risk protection order. I would like another component. I've said this before. I'll say this again. I'd like another component that would provide stiff penalties, including some jail time, for those that abuse the law and use it against a so-called enemy and, turn in someone they say, he's an extreme risk, he's having a mental breakdown, you got to come get his guns. And you end up, because of that complaint, a law-abiding citizen is separated from their Second Amendment right under false circumstances, lies There needs to be stiff penalties. And not only that, but your DAs need to prosecute their penalties now. And they don't do anything. They don't prosecute anybody. And so people do it all the time. Ask any law enforcement officer. It is 1:50. I'm Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every time I hear this, I feel very patriotic. And I want to say, God bless America. Or I think a Tom Clancy movie is about to come on. One or the other. All right, it is 1:58. I know we have more phone calls, tons of super text. Boy, we really hit a nerve this last segment there. So we'll try to answer a lot of these and take more of your phone calls after 2 o'clock. Plus, apparently, there's been an epic takedown by Mark Green and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Our own Tennessee Congressman, Mark Green, District Number 7, who was a state senator there for quite some time, right?
Now he's chairman of the Homeland Security Committee.
I mean, you need to say that with some respect. Yes, he is. He's chairman of one of those. And so apparently it's an epic interest. I haven't heard it yet. Belle's been teasing me with this, that apparently it's now making the rounds. So,
no, there's two separate instances, and we'll play
both of them.
Yeah.
All right. So I haven't heard it yet. We're going to hear this together, you and I. Belle K says it's great, so I'm going to believe producer Belle on this one. So stick around for that, involving Tennessee Congressman Mark Green and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 82 degrees, another hot day with that sun flying high. Weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Here in Tennessee, the State House passed the bill requiring armed security guards in every public school today. The bill has already passed the state Senate, and now it heads to Governor Lee's desk. The bill also requires bulletproof windows and doors, along with an increase in mental health resources for both private and public schools. And staying in Tennessee, a landmark $500 million lawsuit filed over the police beating death of Tyree Nichols. Derek Dennis.
Amount $500 million being sought in a wrongful death lawsuit over Tyree Nichols, beaten to death, investigators say, by a rogue group of Memphis police.
We're trying to send a clear message to Memphis and a clear message to America. No more Tyree Nichols.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump announcing the lawsuit on behalf of the Nichols family, saying Tyree's death is tragically reminiscent of George Floyd's.
Savagely killed at the hands of law enforcement.
In Tyree's death, 5 officers directly involved charged with second-degree murder and pleading not guilty.
And a call of an explosion in Seattle caused lots of activity near downtown this morning. Alex Stone brings us some details.
When medics arrived, a man had serious injuries to his hand, but the injuries were not life-threatening. Neighbors in his apartment reported an explosion in the basement area. Police say once they investigated, they found he had been holding fireworks that exploded. The bomb squad made sure there were no other dangerous fireworks in the apartment. Seattle police are investigating.
And right now in Tennessee, we have updates on that fatal I-65 North crash in Robertson County yesterday. One person was left dead after an already rear-ended semi-truck ran over the victims in a vehicle. He was a 28-year-old man who died. The crash involved 5 vehicles in total. The tractor-trailer that initially started the multi-vehicle crash and the tractor-trailer that killed the man have charges pending as Tennessee Highway Patrol continues that investigation. And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good afternoon. I am Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy, who will be in for Brian Wilson later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock. In fact, for The Drive, Brian will return on Monday, so be listening for that. Do not despair. He will return. But it's been interesting to be in this seat this week, for sure. We are halfway through all of that, so thank you for being with us. I do have our phone lines open, 615-737-9986. And then, of course, our super text line is open as well. Now, there is a congressman that I just love. I'm a huge fan of his. I have been for a very long time for lots of reasons. I mean, I can go down the list. And I think, obviously, a lot of you are very favorable. Think of him very favorably because you continue to vote for him for office. And that's Congressman Mark Green, who is now Congressman in District 7 here in the state of Tennessee, U.S. Congressman, right? And he has rose to the top, if you will, as chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Am I correct on that? And, of course, you've got Alejandro Mayorkas testifying before the House Homeland Security Committee, saying things that just don't add up. But Bell has found, I guess, you said it's an epic smackdown, if you will.
Yeah, it's
do some setup for me. It's between Mark Green and Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
That turns into that later.
Okay.
But Swalwell is taking his turn to question Mayorkas.
Eric Swalwell
from California.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And he's basically just pandering to kind of run cover for him. And he's talking about rhetoric, anti-Semitic rhetoric and anti-police rhetoric. And so he finishes his comments, and then Mark calls on. He recognizes Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Marjorie has a comment about what Eric said, and it was this.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it. But
oh, no. Oh, my goodness.
And then Eric calls for her remarks to be stricken from the record. So Mark goes on to say, okay, we're checking the rules. And to the letter of the rules, she didn't violate them. So the comments stayed in the record.
All right. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Now, I don't find, so you sent me this link, but I only see a play-by-play written. Is the audio in this link, Bell? I hate to do this on the air.
There should be.
I see a story about the guy who turned himself in for shooting Ralph Yarl, but I don't see the audio component to the story that you sent me.
Well, she went on to use her 5 minutes to ask questions of Secretary Mayorkas.
Okay, so do me a favor. So I'm going to do the story that I have in front of me. If you can find the audio,
all right,
then we'll play that audio. How's that? Because I think it would be more effective. So like you said, the two were going back and forth with Representative Eric Swalwell in questioning with the California Democrat, seeming to reference Green and others in discussing efforts to defund the FBI. Green criticized.
Gentlelady should not be able.
Oops. Green criticized Swalwell, calling his criticism rich from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everybody knows it. Well, they moved to strike her words, and her words were not stricken. All right. After the chairman denied the motion, ranking member Benny Thompson appealed the ruling. I've been on this committee from day one. We've never had an accusation made of any member like that, and I'm appalled by it. So you have that. Then the motion on Green failed in a party line 11-9 vote. Just minutes later, Democrats succeeded in blocking the Georgia lawmaker from speaking further after she accused Mayorkas of failing to work to stem the flow of fentanyl in the U.S. She said to Mayorkas, "You're a liar. You're letting this go on, and the numbers prove it." And so I guess this is the audio now from Congressman Mark Green. Go ahead, Bell.
I'm still looking for it.
Oh, I thought that's what you were playing by accident. All right. Well, here we go. Then I'll just read what I have. We've gotten to the point of the language that we're using. It's not the kind of language that historically we as members of this committee have used. And again, I just think in the interest of civility of this committee, I would implore all the members that I understand the strength and concern, but, there's a way we ought to conduct ourselves. What I'm hearing is not how a majority of this committee conducts business. In this case, the GOP chairman determined the Georgia Republican comments violated House rules. This is Mark Green. It's pretty clear that the rules state you can't impugn someone's character. Identifying or calling someone a liar is unacceptable in this committee, and I make the ruling that we strike these words. So what that says to me, though, that you can say everybody knows you were sleeping with a Chinese spy, but you can't say you're a Chinese spy-loving whore. Or something like that. That right? Or whatever. A man whore, a man, playa, whatever. You can't use those kinds of words that would impugn a member, but you can actually disclose character flaws. How's that? So I guess it wouldn't have been out of order had she said, Mr. Secretary Mayorkas, I believe what you're telling me are lies. But she can't say, Mr. Secretary, you're a liar. Right? I think that's the way I'm interpreting what Mark Green was saying here. Now, Mark, of course, I need to call him Representative Green, don't I? Or Congressman Green. I need to be respectful. Green, the chairman, paused for a moment while consulting a staffer and then noted that Georgia lawmaker was no longer recognized. So not only did he say you can't do that, but he turned off her mic. The ruling from Green, a Tennessee lawmaker, follows a similar line of questioning during his own time, where he accused Mayorkas of lying to Congress about whether he has maintained operational control of the border. See, this is the difference. Not only, this is what Green said in an earlier round of questioning, not only have you lied under oath, you just admitted your own incompetence. So that's describing an action, but not actually say, you're a liar, or actually saying, you're incompetent. I'm not an attorney, but I think that's the difference. Democrats are also arguing that the chairman's ruling on Green's second comment contradicted his take on her comments on Swalwell. No, because she didn't call him a name. She didn't say you're a slut or, that you're promiscuous. I'll try to say it a little classier. She didn't say that. Do you still have it? Can you play what she actually did say? She said,
yeah, here's the
this
additional piece.
This now hold on. This is the additional piece. So
Yes.
This is Mark Green and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, this is her talking to Mayorkas.
This is her talking to Mayorkas. Got it.
You going to continue this outrage, complete outrage, where China is poisoning America's children, poisoning our teenagers, poisoning our young people? How long are you going to let this go on?
Congresswoman, let me assure you that we're not letting it go on. We are fighting this.
No, I reclaim my time. You're a liar. You are letting this go on, and the numbers prove it. You can't lie about the facts, Secretary Mayorkas. While you live in denial and sit over there with this attitude that you're doing everything right, you are killing Americans with your policies. And that is a fact. Your policies are killing people, over 300 Americans a day, over 300, and it's outrageous. Let me ask you another question. We talk about terror.
The ranking member is recognized.
We can disagree, but just the fact that we have people watching, you don't have to call a witness, a liar. And I just,
Excuse me, does the ranking member have a point of order?
well,
No, obviously.
actually, I want you to take the words of the speaker down.
So,
I mean, but I need to explain.
so the gentleman does have is
Yes.
raising a point
Yes.
of order.
So the point is, in raising this point of order,
And John Lay's time will be restored.
you know, we have a history of being a bipartisan committee that work on solutions. Now, we can disagree, but we've gotten to the point of the language that we're using is not the kind of language that historically we, as members of this committee, we've used. And again, I just think in the interest of civility of this committee, I would implore all of the members that
Who is that
understand
talking?
the
Does it say?
strength and concern.
Ranking member
you
of
know,
that committee.
There's a way that we
It's,
ought to conduct ourselves.
Congressman
And
Thompson.
what I'm hearing
Okay.
is not how a majority of this committee conducts business.
Well, they went on, and Green ended up striking those comments from the record and basically
And then shutting her
down for the rest
Yeah.
of the committee hearing.
But again, thank you for that, Belle. So those were harsh comments. Now, can I just say this? I don't disagree with her. I don't disagree with her at all.
It's the old adage of sometimes it ain't what you say, it's how you say
It's
it.
how you say it, right? I don't disagree, but you got to find because of the rules. You've got to find a better way. And so I think that's what the difference is, as I explained a moment ago. The difference is you said, you're a liar and your lies are killing people. If she would have said, I think you're lying to Congress right now because blah, 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 blah. I think you're lying under oath because you said this when the facts are this. That's different and I guess less harsh and seemingly better decorum than saying, you damn liar. No, she didn't cuss.
Or
I'm
apparently
saying
better
that.
decorum than saying you had an affair with a Chinese spy and everybody knows it.
But see, like I said, she didn't say you're a womanizer. And, she didn't call him names. She just stated perceived facts. Actions. She just described actions. She didn't call him names. So there you go. Okay, that's glorious. Thank you, Bill, for finding that. I'm going to laugh about that the rest of the day. 2:18. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Some news regarding mifepristone as the White House and the Supreme Court are talking about access to that abortion pill, plus a large lawsuit filed by the Tyree Nichols family in Memphis. That and more. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it.
Not you, Mac Maury. She's not talking about you.
I was like, oh, no.
No, yes, she was.
That was Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. This apparently was yesterday during a Homeland Security Committee meeting in the House where our own Tennessee representative, Congressman Mark Green, is chair. And she made those comments to Eric Swalwell, and there was a point of order, and they didn't censor her for that. They didn't shut off her mic for that comment, but later turned her comments off when she called Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas a liar when it came to the southern border. And when she started calling names, that's when a point of order was called, and congressmen were saying, you know what, this can't be tolerated. And so when Mark Green agreed to strike the comments from the record, apparently that then kicks in another rule that she is then barred from making any more comments during that particular hearing. So she was smacked down, I guess you could say. But I don't know that what she said was wrong. I mean,
well, and she also has
incorrect.
this attitude of, this is the field where I grow my F's and see that there are none.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So, well, I mean, interesting. So that happened yesterday. And I have to be honest with you. Every time Mayorkas comes to the microphone to testify before any committee hearing or Congress, I just roll my eyes because there are no facts that back up anything that he has to say. None, zero, zilch. No facts that back up that the border is secure, that gotaways aren't getting away, that fentanyl is a humongous problem, that human trafficking isn't going on. And I can go down the list, all at the southern, not at the northern border, at the southern border. He's incompetent, he is not truthful, or he's delusional. And I don't know which one's worse at this point when we're talking about our borders. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. Let's go to Robert in Woodbury. Hey, Robert.
Hey, good afternoon, Pam. Something we're not focused on is parental involvement when these tragedies go down. Part of nurturing is monitoring your child. Most of these assailants are living at home. Why don't we start focusing on parents and making them semi-responsible or fully responsible for the activities of their children?
All right. Okay. Well, so let's talk about that for a minute. Thank you, Robert, for your phone call. So this shooter, I'm assuming you're talking about the Covenant shooting because that's the one that is too close to home. The shooter was an adult living at home, right? What were these parents supposed to do? Now, if they believed she should not own weapons and they expressed that to their daughter, they were under the impression that the one gun they knew she had been sold. They were unaware of any of the other guns. Now, I don't know about you, but there was a period in my adult life where I moved back home for a little bit. I was in between gigs, and my parents made me an offer. Why pay rent somewhere? You'll eat up your savings in between times that you're looking for your next spot to land. That's a good one, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you just come home and live with us and save your money? And I'm thinking, well, that's a deal I can't refuse. So if I ended up committing a crime as a grown woman, but I lived under their roof, my parents should be considered responsible? Now, if there were red flags on laws on the books, I know every gun owner is cringing right now that I am even saying this, but don't we have to at least talk about it? If you want to say extreme risk protection orders, if these parents knew that there was a way that they could prevent their daughter from ever owning a gun again, at least until she got the right mental health that she needed, could they not have used that? I mean, I don't know what kind of psychiatric help she was having. You know, they say she was undergoing mental care, but was that, I mean, they were a very involved Christian family. So did that mean a Christian counselor from a church that isn't necessarily trained in counseling someone with the kind of mental illness or problems that she had? Or was she under the care of someone who was trained in the kinds of problems this person was having? And if the parents believed she was getting the help that she needed, what would have been a red flag for them? I don't know that in this case you can point the fingers at the parents. In the case of the Waffle House shooter, what was his name? Rankin. His father was given his guns, the son's guns in Illinois, because they determined that he was too mentally unstable to have them. He did have a FOID card, a firearms identification card, right? Firearm owner's identification card. But police were called way too many times to their home, to his places of work. He was not mentally stable. So they said, we're either taking the guns or we're going to give the guns to your next of kin, which was his father. The father ended up giving those guns back to the kid. And those are the weapons that he used here in Tennessee, in Antioch at the Waffle House. That father should be, in my opinion, should certainly be held responsible, or at least bear some responsibility. I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he handed him the weapons that were used in that shooting when it was determined that he was too unstable to have them, at least by law enforcement. And they didn't go through the proper channels for that kid to get him back. Why? Because they knew he wouldn't get him back. He was too unstable. That guy should be held responsible. The parents of the Covenant school shooter, I don't know. I guess that part of the investigation continues. And maybe if we had the manifesto, we could learn more. It's 2:30. I'm Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
30 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 84 degrees and another sunny day here in the mid-state. We can expect a couple of more of those. We are then expecting a cold front as the weekend ensues and some possible showers and storms. Weather in just a couple of minutes. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, this is some breaking news, extended administrative stay over a lower court ruling that threatened to severely limit access to mifepristone, a common abortion pill, until Friday of this week. This gives the justices more time to make a final decision. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, quote, "What we can tell American women is that we're going to continue to fight. We've been very clear about that, and we feel that the law is on our side here," end quote. Right now in Tennessee, Tyree Nichols' family has officially filed a lawsuit against the city of Memphis and the Memphis Police Department and the individual officers involved in the beating which killed him in January. It's a $500 million federal civil lawsuit. And the mayors of Tennessee's 4 biggest cities are calling for stricter gun laws in a letter to Republican state leaders.
Mayors John Cooper of Nashville, India Kincannon of Knoxville, Lee Harris of Shelby County, and Tim Kelly of Chattanooga say they're encouraged by Governor Lee's recent support for stricter gun laws, but it's time to turn sympathy and support into action. They detailed 10 recommended actions they say are working in other states, including background checks for all gun purchases and require point-of-sale background checks for all gun purchases. Red flag laws allowing police and family members to intervene to keep people at extreme risk of harming someone from possessing guns, and a ban on high-capacity magazines. The memo addressed to state leaders, including Governor Lee, House Speaker Cameron Sexton, and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:36. I am Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy, who will be in for Brian Wilson coming up. So stick around for that. Brian Wilson will be back on Monday. 737-9986 is the telephone number. I'm being told I sound like a liberal because I disagree that Justin Jones is satanic. Okay, fine. I'm a liberal. I disagree with everything he does, and I disagree with everything that he says, but I don't believe he's satanic. So therefore, I must be a liberal. Okay. I believe in my First Amendment rights, my Second Amendment rights. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in freedom. I believe in less government. But I sound like a liberal because I don't believe that Justin Jones is actually satanic. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So we are still talking, though, about what happened. I mean, we're still reeling, aren't we, from what happened more than 3 weeks ago? And we're reeling, in my case, from the fact that we have not seen the manifesto yet. I think others are calling for that. I don't think loud enough. I think we need more people calling for the release of that manifesto. I am 100% on the side of looking at what we can do to make our schools safer. I think I heard Mac Morey report about the SRO bill. If that is indeed passed out of the House and the Senate, that's a good common sense thing that can happen to make our schools better. And the governor, I'm sure, will sign it the second he gets it. Better, safer, all of that. If I were the guessing kind, I would guess that Jones and Pearson and Johnson would vote present, not voting, which is a no vote. Voting present, not voting, is not doing their constituency any favors. They're not representing you when they say, we're just taking up space. We're not voting. We're not voting yay or nay. We're not participating in the process. We're just taking up air, sucking it out of the room until we get to go to the White House on Monday. Then, of course, we'll participate. All right, 737-9986. Let's go to Ian in the borough. Hey, Ian.
Yes. That father that gave the guns back to the Waffle House shooter.
Yes.
There in Nashville.
Yes.
He has been charged, Pamela.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Just wanted to give you that information.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. Have a good day. Okay. And, please always keep me on my toes. Mark in Franklin. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Pamela. Thanks for taking my call. I'm surprised you still have your job being such a liberal there.
I'm such a liberal.
I know, huh? I had a comment about just parents in general. We all need to take care of our stuff.
Yeah.
So if we have children, whether they're adults or whether they're teenagers, and we know that they've got something that's off, it's our responsibility, not only to that child, but to our family and to society, that we need to be super, not cautious, but watching everything that they do. Now, there's a line in Animal House, a movie that would never be made today because it's not politically correct. But when the guys get caught, Dean Wormer says, boys, going fat, dumb, and stupid is not any way to go through life.
Right.
And if somebody has 7 guns and all that ammunition in the house, I can't believe if my son had 7 guns and all that ammunition, you darn well I would know about that.
All right. How would you know it if your adult son was in? Would you go through your adult son's room?
If I knew for sure that my son was having issues, And it sounds to me that based on what, all the reporting, that there was enough people to know that this Covenant shooter had issues. Now, whether they were resolved or not, but my house, my rules. My house, my rules.
Now, that is the truth. Now, I did hear that a lot from my dad, even as an adult woman living there. I heard that a lot. Yes.
But you see, if the parents don't, and look at Chicago last weekend, if parents don't take care of their kids, society is going to have to, and then that's when a lot of hurt happens.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to judge these parents too harshly because we don't know the circumstances. We don't know the whole story there. So they're also grieving, you understand, because they have lost a daughter. And you know that they're probably beating themselves up a whole lot more than you and I could do. So I don't want to judge them too harshly. You have a lot of parents that, they're asking, what could we have done? What could we have done differently? What should we have done? We should have done this now that we have hindsight. We should have done that now that we have hindsight, So it's just, I want to be careful on that. At the same time, if they knew that she was in crisis and wanted to hurt people and didn't tell anybody, then boy, gotta do something. Gracie in Nashville. Hi, Gracie. Welcome to the Matt Murphy Show.
Hey, Pamela. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm excellent. But I tell you what, if folks are calling you a liberal, they surely have not been following you for very long.
Well, it's only because I disagree with him on something the Bible said that I don't think you can apply to Justin Jones at this moment. But at any rate, so suddenly I'm a liberal. I think it's hilarious. All right, what's up, Gracie?
Right. Well, okay, you were talking about the fact that she was a grown adult living at home.
Mm-hmm.
And biologically, that very well is true. However, her teacher had already said that she was autistic. She was on the spectrum. And I have a child on the spectrum, so I'm well aware. They're usually about 5 to 10 years behind their biological age.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, she should have been keeping better tabs. But if you look at
hold on, Gracie. Hang on, Gracie. Hold on. Let me just make my point here. Let's go one at a time. However, it depends on where you are on the spectrum. If you're 10 years behind, you might be higher on the spectrum, being that you are more like I don't even want to say the normal kid, but
I understand.
But you understand what I'm saying. So if you're higher, it may not be. So we don't know where she fell on that spectrum.
Right, I understand that. But the fact is, if you read the police inventory sheet, there was guns propped up in the open next to the desk. And
the day of the shooting.
Correct.
Yeah, they may not have been the day before.
I feel like if she had been keeping tabs in her own home as much as she was in trying to gather, signatures on petitions to take other people's weaponry, then she could have played a more effective role.
She being who?
Her mom.
Do you know her mother?
I don't.
All right. Do you know that's what she had been doing?
Gathering petition signatures? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you went through her social media, that's rather common knowledge. She
All
was
right.
very much an anti-gun person.
All right.
So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you very much for your phone call. I appreciate that. 737-9986. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Pamela. Always good to hear you on. And I do completely agree with the last caller. And yes, the shooter's mom was a huge anti-gun activist. And it's already, and it's even been reported on WTN that this person had already confided to a friend years ago that she wanted to go shoot up a school or shoot up a mall.
I understand.
So if I don't give a darn how old you are, Pamela. if you're living with me and this person had already told her mom about this.
10 years ago. And from my hold on, please. 10 years ago, they got their child what they believed was help, right? So if they believed 10 years ago she was in trouble, if they believed that she had sold all her weapons and didn't know she was hiding other weapons, can you tell me what these parents should have done?
Pamela, and I've got a son that's almost as old as you. He's 36. So if he was living with me and it had been reported to me that he had told somebody this,
you're going to check his bedroom every single day for guns. Come on, Larry. You're not going to. Oh, give me a break. Okay, I mean, seriously, give me a break. You're going to check his bedroom because somebody told you something 10 years ago. You're going to every day go through your adult child's bedroom searching for weapons.
The most poignant part of that call was that he said his son was almost your age.
Shut up. Shut up, Belle. Get out of here. I mean, my point to this is we are what is it, Monday morning quarterbacking the parents here when you don't know what they did. You don't know that they didn't search the bedroom and maybe she had them stashed someplace else until the day of the shooting. That's what I'm trying to say to you. You don't know. We're suddenly going down the road of judging these parents. You don't know that she didn't have them stashed in her car the whole time. You don't know. You don't know. The day of, she had them propped up, what have you. That's fine. That's the day of. That's not the day before. Ray on the super text line, I sure would have checked that bag she was carrying out that day that her mother questioned her about. Wouldn't you have, knowing what she knew? Knowing what she knew 10 years ago, you're telling me, hey, what's in the bag? Just stuff that you are going to question your adult child who's leaving the house with a bag. You're going to go, no, you need to stop. I need to see what's in the bag. The adult child would probably say, go pound sand. I mean, put yourself in realistic shoes here. Now, all of us, me going back and forth with you, I'll say this. I don't know. None of us know the motivation. None of us know how involved the parents were with this child, this adult child. None of us know if every single day they searched and didn't find anything. We don't know how much they paid for any kind of mental health evaluation. These are things we don't know. You know why? Because we haven't seen the manifesto. It's 2:51. I am Pamela Furr. In for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Supreme Court extending their decision until Friday on the status of mifepristone in the United States, plus the 3 Tennessee representatives surrounding that expulsion controversy headed to the White House. That and more. 3 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it.
Mac Maury, what have you been doing with a Chinese spy? Everybody knows it. I think I'm the last one to know. No, that is Marjorie.
Your poor girlfriend.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm sure that Mac. No, what is your name? Matt Murphy. We'll talk about that coming up, filling in for Brian Wilson. I know you got a lot of guests, a lot of stuff. Is Taylor Hicks one of them?
Taylor Hicks is not one of them.
Shoot, I enjoyed meeting him yesterday.
It was pretty cool. It was a good interview, too. He's a good guy.
Absolutely. All right, but you've got, did I hear Councilman?
I've got Mike Sparks coming on. I got Robert Swope coming on. Yep. Cameron Smith's going to stop by, and Scott Desjardins. So,
well, it's just a
loaded up,
packed show.
Plus Don Lemon.
No.
Oh, man.
On the drive. All right.
Delicious audio.
We're backed up for time. I'll see you tomorrow on WTN.